Greetings, you magnificent mucus-encrusted barnacle, clinging to the rust-eaten hull of existence. What foul, beautiful abyss did you slither from this morning? You pulsating bioluminescent wart on the grand festering toe of the cosmos. I trust your chitinous carapace is uncracked with your multitudinous eyes are not glazed over by the sheer unbridled horror of Friday. But seriously, my dearest fellow travelers on this wild ride we call life, welcome. Welcome to the Narrative Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Gerald Tabb, and it is an absolute genuine pleasure to have you lend me your precious ear holes today. I truly hope that your week has started off with the gentle breeze at your back, a perfectly brewed cup of whatever liquid brings you joy, and absolutely zero existential dread from parasitic cosmic entities. May your problems be small and your triumphs be numerous. Now, last weekend, I found myself in a situation that, while seemingly mundane, really got my narrative gears grinding. See, my wife, bless her organized heart, decided it was finally time to tackle the dreaded closet of doom in our guest room. You know the one. Every house has one. It's not just a closet, it's a temporal anomaly. A black hole of forgotten aspirations and misplaced socks. A sarcophagus of things you swore you'd use someday. So, Saturday morning, after a truly heroic battle with a stubborn bagel that refused to be toasted evenly, a minor skirmish, but one that drained a surprising amount of my mental fortitude, I squared my shoulders. The sun was streaming in through the window, making the dust motes dance in the air like tiny, excited spirits. The house was quiet, save for the distant chirping of birds and the faint hum of the refrigerator. A perfect crisp day, almost mocking in its tranquility, giving the impeding chaos. I opened the closet door, and frankly, it wasn't just a closet. It was an archaeological dig site. There was a distinct smell, a peculiar blend of old cardboard, forgotten laundry detergent, and a faint, almost nostalgic whiff of, well, dust. Not just regular dust, but ancient dust. Dust with stories. My hand instinctively reached for the light switch, but the bulb had long since given up the ghost. So I had to squint into the dim light. My first thought, I'm not gonna lie, was pure unadulterated primal fear. How did this happen? How did we let this get this bad? It was like staring into the maw of a beast that has swallowed years of our lives, regurgitating them back at us in the form of tangled wires, half-empty paint cans, and truly terrifying collection of single gloves. I started, as one does, with the low-hanging fruit, a stack of old magazines from like 2010. The paper felt brittle, almost crumbling under my fingers. It was so dry. As I picked them up, a small desiccated spider skittered away, its tiny legs making a surprisingly loud tick-tick-tick sound against the wooden floor before vanishing into the shadows. My skin crawled a little, but I soldiered on. Then I found it, buried deep under a pile of ancient board games and a deflated yoga ball, was this shoebox. Not a modern, slick shoebox, but an old, faded one, the kind with reinforced corners. And written on it, in my grandmother's elegant, slightly shaky cursive, were two words: old photos. My heart did this little flutter thing. You know that feeling when you stumble upon something that connects you directly to a past you thought was lost. I carefully pulled it out. The cardboard felt surprisingly sturdy despite its age. I lifted the lid, and the first thing I noticed was a smell, a faint, sweet, almost papery scent mixed with that unique, comforting aroma of old photographs. Inside, tucked away amongst crumbling newspaper clippings and dried flowers, were dozens of black and white photos. Sepia tones mostly. Pictures of my grandparents when they were young, laughing, standing awkwardly by a car, looking vibrant and full of life. One of my grandfathers, a young man in a slightly ill-fitting suit, holding a diploma and grinning broadly. Next to him, a banner, faded but still illegible. Western State Normal School. I just sat there on the floor, cross-legged, the pile of closet detritus around me, lost in these images. The cool wooden floor against my knees, the faint scent of old paper filling my nostrils. My mind wasn't on the mess anymore. It was on him, on my grandfather, on the journey he must have taken to get that diploma. What hopes did he have? What dreams did that normal school represent for him, for his family? It really struck me, while wrestling with my own little closet full of forgotten things. This shoebox was a gateway to a much grander story. A story not just of one person, but of an institution. An institution that started small, with a very specific purpose, and then grew, adapted, and blossomed into something much larger than its original version. Just like those old photos, which started as simple moments frozen in time, but now, a century later, offered a rich, complex narrative of ambition, learning, and progress. And that, my friends, is truly what sparked the idea for today's episode. Because every institution, every school, every university has its own profound, often overlooked narrative. And today, we're going to dive into the surprisingly rich and dynamic history of that very place, Western Michigan University. So buckle up, grab your metaphorical history goggles. Let's journey back to the very beginnings of what is now a massive educational powerhouse in Michigan. Because Western University wasn't always the sprawling campus we know today, with its beautiful brick buildings and vibrant student life. Oh no, it started, like many great things, from a specific need and a whole lot of ambition. Imagine, if you will, the early 1900s in Michigan, the turn of the century. Industry is booming, populations are growing, and there's a huge demand for something absolutely critical: well-trained teachers. The existing normal schools, that's what teacher training colleges were called back then, were concentrated in the eastern part of the state. So there was a desperate need for a new institution to serve the burgeoning western half of Michigan. Kalamazoo, a bustling city with a strong sense of community and a growing economy, was seen as the perfect spot. In 1903, the state officially established the Western State Normal School. Its mission was clear: to prepare skilled educators for Michigan's expanding school systems. Think about that for a second. Its entire focus was on shaping the minds that would then shape the next generation. It was a foundational piece of the state's future. Now, establishing a school isn't just about passing a law. It's about people. It's about a vision. And one of the key figures And this initial chapter was Dwight B. Waldo, who became the first president. Waldo was a force of nature. He arrived in Kalamazoo with very little to work with. No buildings, no students, just a mandate. He chose a site, a beautiful tract of land on a hill overlooking the city, which is why even today, WMU is often referred to as the Hill. Construction began, and by 1904, the very first class of students walked through the doors of what was then just one main building, later named Waldo Hall in his honor. Can you imagine the excitement, the energy? These weren't just students, they were pioneers, embarking on a new educational journey that would shape their lives and the lives of countless children. They were to become teachers, to spread knowledge, to build a better Michigan. But here's where the narrative gets interesting. While the primary focus was on teacher training, Waldo and his successors quickly recognized that a thriving institution couldn't just stand still. The world was changing. The needs of society were evolving. So, Western State Normal School started cautiously expanding its curriculum. They introduced courses beyond just teaching methods and basic academics, programs in practical arts and sciences, even in pre-professional studies. This wasn't always a smooth process. There were debates, budgetary constraints, and the constant challenge of proving that these expansions were not just nice to haves, but essential for the school's growth and relevance. But the vision was strong, to serve the region more broadly. By 1927, thanks to this expansion of a growing reputation, the name changed to Western State Teachers College, still focused on teachers, but with college in the name, signaling a step up, a broader academic scope. And then, after World War II, came another massive shift. The GI Bill brought a huge influx of returning veterans eager for education. Campuses across the nation exploded with new students, and Western was no exception. This period was a huge catalyst for growth, pushing the institution even further beyond its original normal school roots. The 1950s really marked a turning point. The very idea of what a state school should be was changing. There was a push to elevate many teachers, colleges to full university status, reflecting their diverse offerings and growing research capacities. In 1957, that moment arrived for Western. Its official name became Western Michigan University. This wasn't just a name change on a sign. It was a complete transformation of identity. It meant a commitment to a much wider range of academic disciplines, to graduate studies, to research, to becoming a comprehensive university serving a much broader purpose than just training teachers. Think of it, from one building on a hill focused on one profession to a sprawling campus with colleges of engineering, businesses, fine arts, health professions, and more. And throughout all of these changes, one thing remained constant: the narrative of adaptability, of growth, of deep connection to the community it serves. Whether it was training teachers to build the state's educational foundation or educating veterans who would go on to build industries, or now fostering innovation and research that impacts the global stage, WMU's story is a testament of the power of evolving vision. For my grandfather, a young man with a diploma from Western State Normal School, to thousands of students walking the campus today, the thread is continuous. It's a narrative of resilience, of constantly looking forward while honoring its past. Its story not just about buildings and degrees, but about the countless lives touched, transformed, and empowered by education. It's a story of how small seed of an idea planted over a century ago in Kalamazoo grew into a mighty educational oak, its branches reaching far and wide. And that, my friends, is why these narratives matter. Whether it's the personal story held with its dusty shoebox or the grand sweep of an institution's history, understanding where we came from, how we've adapted, and what challenges we've overcome helps us appreciate where we are now and inspires us to imagine where we might go next. So the next time you hear the name Western Michigan University, or any institution for that matter, take a moment to consider the incredible narrative woven into its fabric. It's never just a place, it's a living, breathing story. And with that, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Narrative Mindset Podcast. Thank you, as always, for joining me on this journey. Remember to pause, to listen, and to find the stories all around you. They're waiting to be discovered. Until next time, this is Gerald Tab, urging you to keep those narrative gears spinning. Take care, everyone.